the woman was still alive. Yet the man forced her into a coffin and buried her with a corpse. He even mocked her, saying if she claimed to be so fertile, then she should prove it by bearing a child for herself. In her village, every woman was said to be born with a special fertility blessing, and she was the most gifted of them all. The man was gravely ill and couldn't stand, so she was married to him. Her body could supposedly heal the weak. Miraculously, his illness did vanish after the marriage. A year later, she endured great pain to give birth to twins, but the first thing he did upon seeing them was to try and feed them to the dogs. She begged him to stop, but he showed no mercy. He dragged her to a remote area and ordered his men to seal her in a coffin, to bury her with a dead general. She demanded to know why, only to learn he never believed she healed him. He was certain it was a misdiagnosis, and blamed her for the death of the woman he truly loved, who had been forced to marry a tyrant and was tortured to death. Now he wanted her life in return. The woman was powerless, and eventually suffocated inside the coffin. Her entire village of women were executed for allegedly deceiving others. But in the next instant, she found herself back on the day her mother-in-law first summoned her. This time, she immediately warned the mother-in-law that the so-called fertility blessing was just a myth. But the woman refused to believe it, and insisted on marrying her into the family. The man flatly rejected the idea, declaring that only the scheming woman would ever be his wife. He even accused her of lying, and begged his mother to punish her. So the woman echoed their words, saying she wasn't worthy of the role, leaving the mother-in-law no choice but to let her temporarily stay in the side courtyard, with the option to recall her if needed. She knew escaping the man wouldn't be easy, but the man followed her out, saying she used to love trailing behind him. The moment he spoke, she realized he had also been reborn, but she couldn't let him know she had too, so she played dumb and pretended not to understand. He warned her to stop pretending, and said as long as she stayed out of his and the scheming woman's business, he'd spare her life. She calmly replied that she sincerely wished them happiness. To change her fate, she had to marry before his wedding. Just then, she noticed the general's manor transporting a coffin, the same one she was buried in her previous life, so she asked to see the old matriarch, claiming her body was a rare spiritual treasure, and could surely save the general. The old lady was touched, saying even if it didn't work, her kindness alone was invaluable, so she gave her a family heirloom jade pendant, and promised to help convince the man's mother. But the woman knew that wasn't enough. She had to make it seem like the scheming woman was pregnant, so the man would think his body was normal, and finally let her go. While the scheming woman was taunting her, she secretly used silver needles, so the woman would show false pregnancy symptoms. But things backfired. The man thought she was harming his beloved, and in rage, ordered her tied up and whipped. He even planned to destroy her special body. Fortunately, his mother stepped in and saved her. She was unconscious for 3 days, and her first words upon waking were to ask about the man's condition. His mother assumed she was concerned about him, and happily told her he was recovering, not only walking again, but going hunting with the scheming woman. She thought this meant he was getting better, but the woman knew this was a sign that death was near. Soon the general's matriarch arrived, asking for the woman as promised. The mother-in-law was eager to form ties with the general's house, and immediately agreed to the marriage. But the man suddenly barged in. Hearing the news, he thought the marriage was with him, and began criticizing